जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from 5.1.21 Srimad Bhagavatam, about Maharaj Priyavrata. Bhagavan api manuna yatavad upakalpita pachiti Priyavrata naradayor avishaman।
कौन से वाला वर्स पढ़ा प्रभु जी? 21 ना?
21।
ठीक है जी, सॉरी, थैंक यू जी।
अभिशामन अभिशामी शमयनयोर आत्मसम।
अभिशामम अभिशामकी शामयोर आत्मसम।
अवस्थानम अवान मनसम शयम
अवस्थानाम अवान मनसम क्षयम।
अव्यवहर्तम प्रवर्तायन अगमत।
अव्यावृहतम प्रवर्तयन् अगमत।
Somebody like to read this, please?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Please.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna. Shva Prabhupada Ji ki jai.
Okay.
So, translation. Lord Brahma was then worshipped by Manu, who respectfully satisfied him as well as he could. Priyavrata and Narad also looked upon Brahma with no tinges of resentment. Having engaged Priyavrata in accepting his father's request, Lord Brahma returned to his abode, Satyalok, which is indescribable by the endeavor of mundane minds and worlds. Manu was clearly very satisfied that Lord Brahma had persuaded his son Priyavrata to take the responsibility for ruling the world. Priyavrata and Narad was also very satisfied. Although Brahma had forced Priyavrata to accept the management of worldly affairs, thus breaking his vow to remain brahmachari and completely engage in devotional service, Narad and Priyavrata did not look upon Brahmaji with resentment. Narad was not at all sorry that he had been frustrated in making Priyavrata a disciple. Both Priyavrata and Narad were exalted personalities who knew to respect Lord Brahma. Therefore, instead of looking upon Brahma with resentment, they very feelingly offered him their respect. Lord Brahma then entered his celestial abode known as Satyalok, which is described here as being impeccable and being unapproachable by words. It is stated in this word that Lord Brahma returned to his residence, which is as important as his own personality. Lord Brahma is the creator of this universe and the most exalted personality within it. This lifetime is described in Bhagavad Gita, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Vidhu. The total duration of 4 yugas is 4,300,000 years, and when that is multiplied 1,000 times, it equals 12 hours in the life of Brahma. Therefore, we cannot factually comprehend even 12 hours of Brahmaji's life, to say nothing of the 100 years that constitute his entire lifetime. How then can we understand his abode? The Vedic literature describes that in Satyalok there is no birth, death, old age, or disease. In other words, since Satyalok is situated next to Brahmalok or Brahman effulgence, it is almost as good as Vaikuntha Loka. Lord Brahma's abode is practically indescribable from our present status. Therefore, it has been described as Avan Manasa Gochara, or beyond the description of our words or the imagination of our mind. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.2.26-27 thus describes the abode of Lord Brahma as Yadvai Parardhayam Tadyu Parameshthayam Mine Yatra Shoko na jara, na mrityu, na tir, na shodviga. In Satyalok, which is situated many millions and billions of years away, there is no lamentation, nor is there old age, death, anxiety, or influence of enemies. Srimad Bhagavatam 2.26.22-27. So, Prabhupada ji here is mentioning a very beautiful quality of a devotee. Naraji, we know, is very exalted devotee of Krishna, and now we can see Priyavrata and Manu. Manu, of course, is the same case. So here they are saying, now we know Brahmaji actually forcefully got Priyavrata into, he broke his vow of remaining brahmachari and doing all the austerities he was doing all the yoga, and now getting him involved into all the worldly affairs. He has to get a progeny, and now he has to rule. So that's completely different from what he was up to. So with that being done, a layman would be like, oh, I'm completely given a wrong direction to what I was doing before. So the layman could be completely bewildered and would not like the person who's forcing him to do so. Whereas now we are seeing the character of Naradji and Priyavrata, that even though Narad Muni had in a disciplic succession taught Priyavrata what is the best way to approach Krishna through devotional service, he's not frustrated that, you have taken my disciple. We see in the modern world, people have disciple and they one disciple leave, they're like crying like nothing. People want fame to make more and more disciples. So that is not the case here. Naraji is not at all sorry, because he knows this is because Krishna wants this. So anything that is for Krishna's will is acceptable to all the devotees. And we have seen that through the character of Narad Muni and Priyavrata himself. And Manuji is very happy too, because now there was no one to take care of that. There was no one, in the sense that there was no one who was trained to an extent of controlling the senses and understanding supreme. And to rule the world, you need somebody like that. So now Priyavrata is going to be taking over. So Manuji, of course, is happy. And then they are saying, they offered both the exalted. Naraji didn't say, hey, I'm very exalted. He is, but Brahmaji is the topmost. Brahmaji is the topmost human being, we can say. So both Narad Muni and Priyavrata has given respects to Brahmaji while he's leaving. And now Prabhupada is explaining his abode. Prabhupada has used a very nice sentence saying his residence is as important as his own personality. So Brahmaji is the creator of this entire universe. He's the engineer. After Krishna, he's been given the responsibility to further now create the entire universe. So we can see how important service Brahmaji is doing and how exalted his personality is. So now they are saying similarly, as exalted as his personality, so is his abode. And then Prabhupada is giving some calculations about his age, and then, well, clearly we cannot understand, or we cannot describe in words even what that abode would look like. We can't even understand his age, let alone anything else. So how can we understand with these mundane words and senses and minds, which are so limited? We can't understand his abode. We need to trust Shastras, and they are saying that Satyalok, there is no anxiety of death, birth, old age, enemies. So people in that I'm not sure, but I think Prabhuji, you can correct me. People who are in Brahmalok, once the end of the world, they all go to Vaikuntha. Is that the case? I'm not sure about that piece.
No, Ramai, you're asking me, Madhu?
Ji.
Madhu Prabhu has joined?
Oh, okay, Ji.
Madhu Samhita Prabhu is not too well, he's like still having fever, but he's here with us.
Okay. Okay. So, okay.
Yes, so as we have seen the third canto of Bhagavatam, second canto actually, yes, in a vast majority of cases, personalities from Brahmalok, I mean Satyalok, Maharalok, Taplok, they do go back to spiritual world because these planets are practically spiritual worlds.
Mhm,
But it's not always the case, like
mhm,
because this is all domain of Maya. Living entity is prone to falling down at any moment
mhm,
because Maya is existing even in those
mhm.
higher reaches of the universe. But it's very less. It's very, very less.
ठीक है जी. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Anybody would like that? Anybody would like to add something? Please go ahead, ji.
Go on, Mataji. You can read the next verse.
ठीक है. Prabhuji, would you mind reading the Sanskrit? This is a long one. I don't think I'll be able to put together.
I will try to read, okay.
Thank you, ji.
Manur api paranevam
Manur api paranevam
pratisandita manoratah
pratisandhita manoratha
surasi varanu matena atmajam
surasi varanumatena atmajam
akhiladhara mandala sthiti guptaya
akhiladhara mandal sthiti guptaya
asthapya swayam ati visama
स्थाप्य स्वयं अति विषमा
visaya visajalasaya upararama
विषया विषा जलाशयाशय उपारमा. Anybody would like to read?
So if I read, please, you give the comments on that.
No, Prabhuji, will do it together. You read, we'll do it together.
Because the long version I'm not read it earlier. I'm now reading. Translation purport by Sri Prabhupada. Sri Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Shambhu Manu, with the assistance of Lord Brahma, thus fulfilled his desire. With the permission of the great sage Narada, he delivered to his son the governmental responsibility for maintenance and protecting all the planets of the universe. He thus achieved relief from the most dangerous, poisonous ocean of material desires. Put by Sri Prabhupada. Shambhu Manu was practically hopeless because such a great personality as Narada was instructing his son Prabhata not to accept household life. Now he was very pleased. The Lord Brahma had interfered within inducing his son to accept the responsibility for ruling the government of the universe. From Bhagavad Gita, we get information that Vishwasva Manu was the son of the sun god, and that his son, Maharaj Ikshvesu, just a minute, ruled this planet, Earth. Okay. Shambhu Manu, however, appears to have been in charge of the entire universe, and he entrusted his son, Maharaj Pravrata, responsibility for maintaining and protecting all the planetary system. Dhara Mandala means planets. The earth is, for the stars, is called Dhara Mandala. Akhila, however, means all universal. It is therefore difficult to understand where Maharaj Privrata was situated. But from this literature, his position certainly appears greater than that of the Vivas Manu, for he was interested with all the planetary systems of the entire universe. Another significant statement is the Shambhu Manu took great satisfaction from abrogating the responsibility for ruling the planetary system of the universe. At present, politicians are very eager to take charge of the government, and they engage their men in conversing from door to door to get votes to win the post of president or similar exalted office. On the contrary, however, herein we find that King Parivarta had to be persuaded by Lord Brahma to accept the post of emperor of the entire universe. Similarly, his father, Shambhu Manu, felt relieved to entrust the universal government to Parivarta. Thus, it is evident that the kings and the executives, head of the government in the Vedic age, never accepted the position of sense enjoyment. Such exotic kings, who were known as Rajrashis, ruled only to maintain and protect the kingdom of the welfare of the citizen. The history of Parivarta and Shambhu describes how exemplary, responsible monarchs performed the duties of government with disinterest, keeping themselves always aloof from the contamination of the material attachment. Material affairs have been herein been compared to an ocean of pipes. They have been described in similar ways by Sri Narottam Das Thakur in one of the songs, Samsar Vaishnava, Sansar Vishada, Divya Nasi Hai Jave, Jugate Na Kahi Upai. My heart is always burning in the fire of material existence, and I have made no provisions for getting out of it. Golokari Prema Dana, Hari Namam Sankirtana, Ratina Janimade Kenatai. The only remedy in Hari is Hari Nam Sankirtan, the chanting of the Hari and Krishna Mahamantra, which is imported from the spiritual world, Golokundavana. How unfortunate I am that I have no attraction for this. Manu wanted to seek shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord, and therefore, when his son Parivarta took charge of his worldly affairs, Manu was very relieved. That is system of Vedic civilization. At the end of life, one must free himself from worldly affairs and completely engage in the service of the Lord. The word Surasi Varma, Anumintala, is very significant. Manu entrusted the government to his son with the permission of the great saint Narad. This is particularly mentioned because although Narad wanted Parivarta to become free from all the material affairs, when Parivarta took charge of the universe by the request of Lord Brahma and Manu, Narad was also very pleased. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, would you like to comment too?
No, I won't comment immediately.
Okay,
You go ahead because I was reading, so my attention was
okay, no problem. Ji. So, with a little bit of my understanding, what I got from this verse is 2 or 3 key points. First, here, Swamva Manu was practically hopeless. Of course, to rule universe, you need somebody who's beyond excellence, and not just any mundane can rule the universe. The way we have seen today, everybody is so keen to be a leader because what they want to do is they want to fill their own pocket. They want to fulfill their own senses. You don't need somebody like that. You're looking for somebody, as we have seen the qualities of Priyavrata. He's completely sense controlled and he was totally devoted to Krishna through austerities. So Narad Swamva Manu was of course happy. There is another key reason why he's happy, which Prabhupada is disclosing it at the end, but we'll discuss that. Here they are saying, where was it? The history, they're saying this is the history of the great Raj Rishis. They're not there to fulfill their own pockets the way we see today. So it's like blind leading a blind. No wonder why everybody gets into a blind well. And here they are saying those were Raj Rishis who knew how they can control their senses. And the important thing that they knew was Yukt Vairagya, how they can leverage every single thing for Krishna service. Amrish Maharaj is a perfect example too. He leveraged every single thing that he had whether was materially opulence or it was his own senses for Krishna's service. So these two people, Priyavrata and Swamamanu, are great exemplary of the same behavior we are seeing, that they are performing the duties given by Krishna, like Arjun. Arjun didn't want to go fight. He didn't want the Rajya either, the kingdom either. But because Krishna wanted him to do that, he ended up doing it so gracefully. So same thing applies here. Priyavrata didn't want to do that in the beginning, but because this is how Krishna wants, he's gonna do that beautifully. And another thing is, maybe that's how I'm portraying. Someone when was saying that there was no hope that Priyavrata would budge from what he's doing. Why? Because Narad Muni is instructing him. And Narad Muni, so when a spiritual master instructs, spiritual master is so merciful that he would take the devotee on the right path as long as the devotee follows. That's why Swami was saying there was no hope. But how he had the hope is when Krishna intervened. I mean, through his devotee, he intervened and told what is my wish. So yes, spiritual master will definitely take us to the right path. And that path, especially for Kali Yuga, is chanting Harinam Kirtanam and preaching. And the other thing that was very interesting that Prabhupada mentioned at the end, that Swamamanu was very happy when Priyavrata took the charge because he got relieved. So now one thing that came to my mind, both are liberated, both are very well controlled in their senses. Yet why would Manuji be very happy when Priyavrata took over? Manuji could have led the way he was leading before. The reason why is at some point, this is like Varnashrama Dharma's establishment again. At some point, we need to leave everything and give ourselves 100% devoted to Krishna. At some point we need to do that. I think Manuji wanted to do the same. So he was looking for someone who can take over the responsibility so he can fully 100% dovetail himself to the services of Krishna or engage himself in the service of Krishna. I think that's, and the other one was Suryasi Vara Anumatena is also significant. Manu entrusted the government of his son, where Naradji and Priyavrata both became very happy because Naradji instructions were right too. And we can see now Brahmaji instructions are going to be right too. And Priyavrata is going to follow both. He's going to rule and he's not going to be attached to the material affairs. So he's going to be out of it like Yukta Vairagya, yet leveraging everything for Krishna's service and doing his responsibility. And that's what I got of it. Prabhuji, please, and Mataji, please go ahead and comment or add something.
Nicely explained, Mataji. In a very concise way, I can understand this way. Okay, yes, because the wish of the Krishna, that is what matters.
Mm-hmm.
So the Narad is a very great devotee. And there have been cases where we led the whole lot of family to the spiritual world against the wishes of the father.
Mm-hmm.
But here, when Brahmaji brings the message of Krishna, and Krishna wanted this Priyavrata to rule the country. And they were not willing because he didn't want to get into this.
Mm-hmm.
So Brahmaji, when he came and conveyed the message, and they all appreciated that this message of Brahmaji should be followed by Priyavrata for all the reasons. Because the Varnashrama also said, and more than that, main thing was this was instruction from the Supreme Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So Naradji was happy, absolutely. So was Manu. Who had also wanted to get out of it because the Varnashrama system, he would have been gone for some, but they were not leaving because his son was not taking. There was nobody to take over the ruling of the universe. And the message goes here: this was not on one planet; it was a group of planets. That means Priyavrata was going to have a higher responsibility than what others having. So here it makes it also key. All these things were happening because it was in accordance with the Varnashram system, and more so, it was the entire wish of the Supreme Lord. So everybody fall into line, and they followed. And that we should also do in this present world. We should do only what our Shastra says and what the Krishna desires. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very true. It reminded me of one point that Ram Tilak Prabhuji mentioned yesterday. He said this verse actually is an eye opener for us too. Like here, Prabhupada is saying material affairs herein been compared to an ocean of poison. So if Sambhava Manu is trying to get rid of it, that it is an ocean of poison and anything can happen at any time. Who are we? Like we are worse than a, I don't even want to know, say we are no one compared to Swambhava Manu or Priyavrata. These personalities, exalted personalities, are scared of material world because anything can happen anytime. Material opulences or anything can just get to the mind and mind will change. Who knows what can happen? If they are scared, who are we? So we should be even more scared and humbly pray that we are in a very precarious situation. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, do you want to add something?
I think you covered all the points. Shall we go on to the next verse?
Ji.
5.1.23. Iti ha vava sa jagati patir
Itiha vava sa jagatir patir
Ishwarechaya adi niveshita
Ishvare chayadhini veshitaka
karmadhikaro akhila jagat bandha dvamshana paranubhavasya.
Karamadhikaro akhila jagat dvanda dvansa
Adipurusha.
puran bhavasaha.
Bhagavata adi purushanyagri
Bhagavat adi purushanagri
yugalanavarata dhyana anubhavena parinandita kasayasyo vadato api manavardhano.
Yugalanvarata dhayanu bhavena parirandhita kshayakshayo vandato apimana vardhano.
Mahatan mahitalam anusa sasa.
Mahatam
Anushasha.
Somebody like to read this? I'll read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I'll read.
Please go ahead, Mataji.
Translation. Following the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Maharaj Priyavrata fully engaged in worldly affairs, yet he always thought of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are the cause of liberation from all material attachment. Although Priyavrata Maharaj was completely freed from all material contamination, he ruled the material world just to honor the orders of his superior. Purport. The words Mana Vardhano Mahatam, just to show honor to superiors, are very significant. Although Maharaj Priyavrata was already a liberated person and had no attraction for material things, he engaged himself fully in governmental affairs just to show respect to Lord Brahma. Arjun had also acted in the same way. Arjun had no desire to participate in political affairs or the fighting at Kurukshetra, but when ordered to do so by the Supreme Lord Krishna, he executed those duties very nicely. One who always thinks of the lotus feet of the Lord is certainly above all contamination of the material world. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yoginam api sarvesham madgate antaratmana Shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamomata. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. Bhagavad Gita 6.47. Maharaj Priyavrata, therefore, was a liberated person and was among the highest of yogis. Yet superficially, he became the emperor of the universe in accordance with the order of Lord Brahma. Showing respect to his superior in this way was another way of his extraordinary qualifications. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 6.17.28, Narayana para sarve na kutaschana bibhyati swarga apavarga narkasva api tulyartha darshana. A devotee who is actually advanced is not afraid of anything, provided he has the opportunity to execute the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the proper explanation of why Priyavrata engaged in worldly affairs, although he was a liberated person. Also, only because of this principle does a Mahabhagavat, who has nothing to do with the material world, come down to the second platform of devotional service to preach the glories of the Lord all over the world. So, in the last few verses, we are seeing such exemplary behavior of Lord Brahma, of Narad Muni, of Priyavrata, and all these people. And I was really thinking, like, what really makes them, do these act in the most idealistic way, which even we like, we also want to do that, but somehow we are not able to do it, however much we may wish. We are always caught up. Means what I feel like we are caught up in this false ego. These people, the pure devotees, are completely free of false ego. For they are acting in their true ego. The true ego, their true constitutional position is being the servant of the Lord, doing everything and anything, whatever pleases the Lord. Nothing, which is so, nothing which is, for their own senses, their own selfish benefit, or nothing. So they are so very much surrendered. And why we are not able to do it is because we are so much into this false ego. We are living our lives just with that identity of this false ego. And because of that, however much we may read, we may want to do, but unless we get free from the clutches of this false ego and the material nature, it's very, very difficult for us to do it. So we have to just humbly pray to the Lord and follow the Acharya, do whatever needs to be done in our devotional service, so that one day we might, the influence of this false ego reduces, and we can also act and follow in the footsteps of this exemplary devotees. Hare Krishna. Would anyone like to add to it?
Mataji beautifully explained.
Hare Krishna. A devotee who is actually advanced is not afraid of anything, provided he has the opportunity to execute order of Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, the devotee who is advanced, Maharaj Priyavrata is an advanced devotee, and which is why Brahma had convinced him that his actual duty is to reign the world and ensure that the subjects are becoming Krishna conscious, and lead a proper kingdom. That's very, very important. And a devotee is also eager to make sure that other people become devotees of the Lord, rather than them having the true spiritual knowledge, because they know everybody is part and parcel of the Lord, and they want everybody to go back home, back to Godhead. And which is why when Brahma spoke to Maharaj Priyavrata, he was convinced that he got the opportunity to execute the order of the Supreme Personality, which is ensure that all souls get an opportunity to go back home, back to Godhead. And because of this, he's Hare Krishna.
Sorry, I thought you finished.
No,
Yeah,
please go on.
please continue. Sorry.
It's okay, Mataji, please go on.
No, it was just like the point came to my mind, like that even of course these examples of these great devotees here are very far away from our sphere, but still we can somehow try to follow at least some aspects of it and try to apply it in our lives, because otherwise when we will do it, we just need to somehow start acting on it and start to follow what Srila Prabhupada is saying, and then we can get purified. So we just need to start to act on it somehow or other, even we have so many qualities which are not supporting our devotional life, but still we need to fight. So just this came to my mind.
It was to your point, Mataji, there was a lecture Keshavanand Prabhuji gave, and exactly what you said. He said devotees would do everything, all the services. But what is missing? Krishna himself is missing from the services. So looking at this is a perfect example. Like we say what was that word? Anukul and Pratikul, right?
Nukulena.
Yeah. So for Priyavrata, we say anything that's supporting your bhakti, you want to take. Anything that doesn't support your bhakti, you want to leave. So if we think about Priyavrata situation, it's such a tough situation that for him, bhakti is being, I shouldn't say bhakti is being paused, but he has been forced to go the other way. And yet he's so exalted. The way Archana Mataji explained is he's in his real ego where he knows I need to serve Krishna. So Anikul and Pratikul things that I was doing was for Krishna. So Krishna is at the forefront and he's able to make this decision. Whereas we are Anikul, Pratikul, Krishna goes somewhere else. We don't know.
Yeah. It is not easy. We are very, very conditioned, and our circumstances are also such. The place where we are living, they are not encouraging us to do devotional service, but of course, if we can do devotional service in these circumstances, then we can do it anywhere. But still, we should try our best effort, and of course pray that, and then we can do it more and more devotionally. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. It's 9:45. Shall we stop for the day?
Okay.
Resume again tomorrow.
Ji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Ji.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna, Ji.
Krishna, and happy Nashing Chaturdashi to